This guide shows you how to find entities, survive entities, and every little detail about every entity in the game. To find entities, there are a few different methods. First of all, you could join the Novalight Discord and get the entity ping reaction rule, which will notify you when some entities are out. But this isn't the most viable strategy, as you will miss 75% of realms, which is why on top of getting the ping, I suggest hibernating code 1, which will be shown at the end of the video on how to hibernate. Or you could play actively, either works. Now that we found an entity, we have to survive them. First, some general tips to survive entities. Obviously, you should stay away from the entity as far as possible, as it's near impossible to die to an entity if you are more than 10 feet away. I also suggest staying away from groups, as entities will usually target groups, and if you go solo, then they probably won't get you. At least until the very end. I also suggest not following me, as I'm leaving you for dead. Unless we're killing the entity, then attack. Secondly, entities have an ability to see through walls at their spawn for a quick period of time, so I suggest trying to stay away from entity spawns, or else they can see through the walls and get you any second. So I suggest staying away from this area of realm and instead going on this area of realm. The final general tip I have is to stay around these parts of the map, and only go to these parts of the map when necessary, since that side has tighter spaces, making it easier to juke entities. I don't listen to this rule, but you probably should. Now that you know the general methods, it's time to move on to... At the time of making this video, there are 15 entities, and these are the strats to survive every single one. Binary is an interesting entity. You might think it would be the hardest to survive, but actually it might not be. They have an Omega laser that kills within less than a second, so do not be in the open. Hide near the ground and continue running to where he isn't. The reason why this isn't the hardest is because if you become the last man standing, he loses the laser and goes melee, which his owner, XDE1, aka the owner of the game, plays fair, making it actually possible to survive this. This is still one of the greatest realm achievements you can get though. I would argue Furnace is the hardest entity to survive, as they have a laser that kills you under 2 seconds a touch. Like Binary, Furnace can fly. Yeah. If you survive until Furnace last man standing, Furnace keeps his flying and his laser, making it near impossible to survive this. My advice for this would try to stay low and hide, since they can see through the map. Hiding wouldn't really do much, so I suggest going around these parts here so you can at least have a chance to juke Furnace. This is one of the only entities I haven't beat, due to its extreme rarity. Fen is melee, so staying away will be your best bet. Heirophant has a short cooldown on the melee, and they can 3 to 4 tap you, so if you are within arm's reach of him, it's probably too late. This entity is about as rare as Heirophant, but much harder to survive. Compass has a laser cannon like Binary and Furnace, and would have the same strategy, staying low until last man standing, and then running and hiding around the map. This is one of the easiest entities to kill, but let's pretend you're just trying to survive. Venus shoots many lasers per second, about 5 to 8, and each doing 20 damage can kill you in under a second. Their main weakness is if they're too far away, it is near impossible to hit you, so just try to stay away. But if Venus is directly next to you, try to dash around a corner instead of dashing directly away, since they can still snipe you in mid-air. If your dash is on cooldown, your last chance is to jump back and forth unpredictably, which if done right will work for 5 to 10 seconds, allowing your dash to build up. To start, Fenrir has 2 modes, Normal and Rage mode. Normal mode, Fenrir has a one-shot laser, and Car. Car is an ability where entities move around getting speed from holding down the right trigger or going backwards holding the left like an actual car, and most entities have this ability, just so you know. This is pretty easy to survive, as it's really hard to aim the laser, so just stay away and use your dash responsibly and you should be fine. When Fenrir enters Rage mode, it goes from a one-shot laser to an ability to punch people, effectively turning it from a ranged entity to a melee entity. If Fenrir is coming to you, then just dash away and stay away like every other entity. If you reach last man standing, try to run and juke Fenrir, using different techniques you can practice. Like, you can learn different jukes in Realm and stuff, and use all of them in Fenrir last man standing. It's your best bet. Good luck finding this entity in a realm, but if you somehow find Suggaria in a realm, this entity is both lethal and safe for different reasons. This entity has no abilities, but has a hammer that does 90 damage total. If you get hit and run into a bush, it's game over. At the end of the day, Suggaria is still one of the easiest entities in my opinion due to its slow movement speed, and also the fact that just be careful where you walk and you'll be fine. To start, if the person playing Trojan is having a bad day, they're overpowered. They can teleport to players and one-shot them if every bullet of the shotgun hits. Luckily, its owners play Trojan fairly, so you probably won't be one-tapped by teleporting. If Trojan starts chasing you, try to run as far as possible and make sure to add some unpredictable movement, since their shotgun can be hard to aim if you dodge rapidly. The hardest part is dodging the teleporting, but if you can do that, you're good to go. Hadal is the only other teleporting entity. Most of its owners who play Hadal also play him fairly. The biggest strengths here would be reflexes. Hadal usually teleports a couple feet around you, so have you dash on standby and prepare to use it at a moment's notice, as Hadal could be somewhere else at one moment and right in front of you in the next. Same logic as Trojan, not too bad to survive. This is the absolute hardest entity to encounter. The only realistic way you are finding them is by the owner XDE1 using them. Even then, the one and only time I was in a realm with them, XD1 cheated! And he flew around with him, which isn't a biomass ability. So everyone, cancel him in the comments. Yeah, that's right, comments. Right now. I need more comments. If you encounter fair biomass, this is one of the easiest entities of your life. They have no abilities, and they only do 45 damage as a melee. Just stay away from them and you win. Easy. Simple as that. Executioner's biggest strength is also their weakness, which is their speed. They can't go up and down, so try dashing on the platforms and jumping down on the ground. My strategy would be to use the ground and platforms to your advantage, dashing up when he's coming to you, or jumping down when he's climbed on. Keep dashing and jumping, then you got yourself a free 2000 XP, which is the reward for beating them. This is the most complicated entity in the game. First of all, they have a slow flight, so run away as fast as possible, but they also have low gravity. It's pretty hard to escape, and on top of all that, they are a ranged entity. So try to get to this section of realm for juking, because everywhere else, you're probably dead. On top of being a ranged entity, they're also a melee entity with a sword that does 35 damage every half a second. Now, I wrote down a bunch of information about their lasers here, but I don't feel like reading all that, so the lasers are pretty OP. Just try to dash around corners and you might be able to survive. This is pretty hard entity to survive. Think of this as Executioner 2.0. They are pretty much the same as Executioner, but they aren't as fast, and now that I think about it, they're worse in pretty much every way. Just run around like normal and you're pretty good. This entity has a fast car, but it has a weapon that does 35 damage per hit, 3 tapping anyone. Try to stay away from them as far as possible, and use the heights to your advantage. Even though he can super dash to you, it's fine. This will be a kind of easy entity to survive, I don't know. Hadal is one of the most common entities, and they're pretty insane to survive. They do 50 damage per hit, 2 tapping anyone. They also have car, and a red fog. The fog doesn't really matter much, because it kind of sucks for entities because they can't see either, but it's fine. Use the verticality of realm to survive, just like Executioner, and you might win, I don't know. Now that you know how to survive every single entity, I'll show you my true hibernation strategy. Nah, I'm joking. 10 likes and I'll make a part 2 with the true strategy. Yeah, that's right. 10 likes. 10. No, you're not getting it this video. You gotta wait for the next. If it gets 10 likes. 10. 10. Oh my god.